Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining us for another episode of our podcast. I'm Les.
And I'm Mo.
And this is the Les and Mo Show. What's happening, Captains? This is episode 11. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another show. And thank you because today we're joined by Lorraine and Amanda from Monsters of the Midwest podcast. So they're going to help us talk about the notorious H.H. Holmes.
This is going to be a case where we are actually going to put a lot of rumors to rest. Most people think that H.H. Holmes, he was the country's first serial killer, but that actually might not be the case. But for now, we're going to let Lorraine and Amanda introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their podcast. So go ahead, you guys.
Hey.
Hello. Thank you for having us. I'm excited. I'm excited to listen to your guys' take on this case too, because it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah. So I'm Lorraine and she's Amanda, and we are from Monsters of the Midwest. You know, we do true crime. True crime isn't always about killing either. So we do cults, we do predators, we cover all sorts of different people, and we are focused on the Midwestern United States. So if you committed a crime in the Midwest, you are from the Midwest, or a combination of both, we talk about you.
Right. You got some and trust me, if you have a link, I will find it, because my mental gymnastics and research abilities are just phenomenal. I should not have been in the hairstylist industry. I'm just saying that. And we will read you for all the filth that it's worth. Yeah, we're excited to be here. This is our actual first collab. So for people that are joining us from our podcast, welcome. And I hope you guys do all the fun things for Les and Mo, like subscribe, Apple Podcasts, you know what we say.
Yeah, your guys' podcast is amazing. We really enjoy listening to
you guys. Are hilarious.
Yeah, you guys are really funny, and you bring such a good element to true crime just because you make it funny. So it's more enjoyable to listen to, I feel like, when there is an element of humor behind it. So you guys are awesome, and we're very, very excited to have you guys here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I'm so glad, because I'm trying to bring the humor to your guys' case today. So
here we are.
Here we
sprinkling a little humor your way, and we love your podcast too. I mean, I really enjoy hearing about all of the different cases. Your first episode actually really grabbed me, just talking about the area itself and just haunted and mysterious stuff. I really, really enjoy it. So we are amped
We love
up.
that.
Thank you. Wait until next episode, because we are going to finish up the season with part 2 of the first episode. Yeah. So
left us on a cliffhanger. I get it. I know we do
that. You know what's cool? I mean, with the aspect of Lorraine living in, Texas, but I mean, I'm real close to you guys. So if we could all do a haunted thing, a live one, that would be awesome.
You guys actually
fun. Maybe in another season, that'd be great.
Hell yeah. Better yet, you guys should come to Alton and do the haunted tour with us. Screw the ones that you pay for. I will take you guys like I did with Mo.
That's what's up.
Front row show. So yeah, if you guys are ever considering coming to the area, definitely let us know, and we'll.
Girl, I don't live that far. Okay.
Well then, hey, come on over. What you waiting for?
So we'll do that, and then you can join us for the Mansfield prison overnight stay.
Stop it. I'm down. Mo will not do it, but I will do it.
Really? Yes. Because we haven't found anybody, and it took me about we've been friends for 11 years ish, that it took me to convince her that this is going to be a thing.
See, come on.
Yeah.
You can do it with us.
Hey, hold us accountable. Both podcasts. We're going to do a dual thing here. We're going to do it.
Yes, let's go. So, it's going to be a crossover. Hell yeah.
It's going to be great. We're going to hit both spots,
Hit the spots.
Yeah.
So let's dive into today's episode. Let's go. So today we're talking about H.H. Holmes and how he got the title of America's first serial killer. H.H. Holmes was born Herman Webster Mudgett, and that last name. And on
terrible.
Such a boring name. What? Mudgett.
Wait
he
till you
was-
guys hear the flavor I'm gonna throw on these victims' names, because I'm gonna butcher the fuck out of them right now. So
Let's go.
So he was born on May 16th, 1861. So we're going way back in time. And that's in, I don't know how to pronounce this, Gilmanton,
Yep.
New Hampshire?
Yes.
Gilmanton,
Yes.
New Hampshire. So he had
got that Taurus, man. Right there.
He had a large family with 4 siblings, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters. He lived with his parents, Levi and Theodate. They were basically some of the first English immigrants in the area at that time. His parents were hard workers. His father worked numerous jobs such as farming, house painting, and trading. His mother worked hard to keep their family functioning. They were devout Methodists. Rumors stated that during Holmes' childhood, he was abused and would torture animals, but those were proved wrong by documented eyewitnesses' testimonies. It seems as if he grew up in a nice, loving home. At age 16, Holmes graduated from the school he attended and got a job as a teacher in his hometown. He got a second job in a neighboring town of Alton, New Hampshire.
What a coincidence.
Ironic, yeah. He would soon marry a woman known as Clara Lovering. And when I was reading this earlier, I accidentally called her Sierra, and we started dying. I don't know why.
Her milkshake bring all the boys to the yard.
2 years
I'm gonna
later,
bring the whole meal with these people that I'm gonna mess up their names. So, yeah. Tell her to bring the milkshakes. We're gonna have a whole dinner.
Yes.
2 years later, they would welcome a baby boy named Robert Mutchett.
Again, with the names.
At age 18, he would enroll into medical school at the University of Vermont in Burlington. He never
So he was a teacher, and then he went into medical.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Correct.
So he was smart.
It looks
Seems
like it.
it.
I feel like all of them are, aren't they?
I feel like, okay, well, no, but I'm gonna throw a disclaimer just for your guys' podcast. So on Lorraine's side, we've covered H.H. Holmes, and like I said earlier, I am not a fan of this case, so I'm essentially coming in blind on this one also. So my reactions might seem like that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because that's true. I only looked into some things because he just is not my flavor of whatever. So I apologize.
totally understand.
No, you're good. We like the element of surprise. We did an episode.
Yeah,
like
there will
that
absolutely be
too.
surprise there. So
Yeah, good.
So he actually never liked the school he went to. He ended up dropping out, and then he attended the University of Michigan's Department of Medicine and Surgery. He would then later graduate in 1884 after passing his exams. During this time, however, he was known to abuse his wife, Clara, and eventually she would move back to New Hampshire before his graduation. They would never hear from each other again. So
it must be nice to have a clean cut like that.
Right.
So he went from New Hampshire, Vermont, and then Michigan.
So
Yeah, he
Alton,
bounced
yeah,
around.
exactly. So he bounced around a lot, and he was only about 18,
So
19.
it was under
now.
18, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So dude's got money.
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it
it
loo-
looks like it. I mean, he's studying
Usually-
to be a doctor. God.
Right. Right. But he first wanted to be a teacher. This just
Mhm.
feels a whole lot of flavors of old money to me. Like,
Yeah.
why he chose Michigan. I don't know how that ties in there unless he was in like engineering, because that's what Michigan's all about. At least
Mhm.
they're money trained. Not medical though. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah. And I think Lorraine, you had some of his business ventures you wanted to talk about.
Oh boy. I unlike Amanda, I love H.H. Holmes, so I have plenty of things to talk about. So I'm going to back up a little bit.
Mhm.
You talked about when he was growing up, and he was actually kind of a chicken. He was afraid of the doctor's office. Contrary to popular belief, this was the reason why he was interested in medicine, because children's medicine was not a thing back then. So they just kind of guessed at your dosage. So he didn't like to go. 2 older classmates knew about this. So they decided that they would open up the door to the doctor's office and shove Herman inside. And what was on the other side? A full adult skeleton with its arms reaching out to you, almost to grab
that's
you.
dope. Oh my God. I'd be excited. I'd be like,
I'd give it a hug. Let's go.
Right.
So
I'd at least go
yeah,
look at it.
his arms were positioned in almost like a zombie-like position. So it really scared Herman at first. But
Sounds inviting to me.
as time passed, he became more curious about medicine and the human body and things like that. So that is the time that he decided he actually did want to study medicine. Teaching was a career that he took to make money for his medical pursuits. Yeah.
Or his parents told him to do it. You know, I mean, how many times has that happened where, especially like, I can speak from example, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then I did that for you. There you go. But I'm going to venture out into what I really want to, you know, do.
Right.
Parent pressure.
Right. Mm-hmm. Methodist from the Midwest. Well, no, he's New
Hampshire.
Okay. Yep.
So, the first time Holmes actually comes to Chicago, he's still a student at the University of Michigan. And this was at his junior year. So he went to Chicago to be a book agent for someone to make some extra money to help him get through college. So basically, he's going door to door asking people to buy a publication of someone's. The book apparently was non-existent. And although he put hard work into trying to sell these books, he basically comes up empty-handed when the people do not get their material.
So just to interrupt you and to connect to our podcast, that happens a lot in this fucking area, doesn't it? We've got lots of door-to-door salesmen that don't get their stuff here in the Midwest. That's interesting.
Bunch of swindlers. So that was actually part of his crime, even though he didn't realize he was a part of it. So he basically scrambles like, oh shit, I need to make money for next semester. So what does he do? He goes back to Ann Arbor.
And now they just do OnlyFans, you know?
So he says, and I quote, he says, I could hardly count my Western trip a failure, however, for I had seen Chicago. So Chicago was west for him. That's probably, which is really bizarre. But the late 1800s, I mean, he was from the East Coast, right? Yeah. So he was a con man. He was a swindler. We all know this. But his passions were in medicine, specifically dissection and chemicals. So maybe.
Can I interrupt with some astrology things here? Because I did run his entire chart. That's what I had to get prepared for today. That I do know about. So he's a triple earth sign. Okay. He's a Taurus sun, Leo moon, and Virgo ascendant. And I will get into these deep diver later when it's my turn to talk, but I'm just interrupting right now. I'm going to tell you a little piece. So a Taurus sun, they are super, super driven by money and materialistic things. They are very grounded and, you know, they have a lot of stability in their own head, what they think is stable. But it's all about like self-comfort. So like they don't give an F about anybody else and what is their thing. They need their own stability and whatever. So they will lie, they will steal, they will create. They have a verbal ability to flourish and make beautiful what is not beautiful. If they know that there's personal gain, monetary or like stability wise.
Wow.
Yes. So that I thought that was kind of interesting because the whole swindler, the whole like going door to door salesman, that is a big Taurus thing. Like they are the ones that are going to go out in the middle. Like they'll just be standing one place and then just cool to jump out in the middle of the crowd and be like, oh, by the way, you should try this because this is great. And I really love it. And they just have a magical way of speaking to people and enticing them to do whatever they want.
I feel attacked.
Yeah.
Personally attacked. I am a Taurus. And I am not like that. So shut your mouth. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm a Taurus rising, so I like to come across that way, but I'm really
don't know anything about, I just know I'm a Taurus and I don't know anything about anything when it comes to astrology. So you should fill me in sometime because I have no idea how any of that works.
He was the original Tinder swindler, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I get it.
This is really funny because one scheme of his is stealing horses from someone while he was in Fort Worth, Texas for a time doing business. Yeah. Another instance
all the way there. That's very west. Very west.
Oh, you'll hear about that. Another instance of his deception was purchasing goods with loans and skipping out on the payments in Chicago and in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yep.
So
financial stability.
He was jailed for a short time in St. Louis after getting caught trying to sell mortgaged goods for profit. He didn't seem like he was getting the hang of being a fucking criminal, but okay. So now, The insurance fraud that he would carry out to make a quick buck would happen multiple times, some successful while others were not so successful. I've actually read multiple accounts of Holmes claiming bodies as his own, relatives or a close friend, drawing up phony insurance claims as their benefactor and reaping the benefits.
Okay, one more interruption, then I promise I won't do this again until like 5
yeah,
minutes
right.
from now. Okay, so coming from you guys all that were interested in this case, so what intrigued you? Is it the fact like that? I don't know. Why are you guys so intrigued? Because I see like all of your faces and see like how interested you are in this, and this guy just irritates the fuck out of me, basically.
Well, I think it's because there's so much mystery, right? Because he's considered the first serial killer, but then there's so many stories surrounding him, but then there's also uncertainty, like was he really
the murder hotel? Like that's the big thing for me. That's the castle. Sorry, that's the big draw for me, is hearing about this elaborate castle that had all these different corridors and rooms and torture and blah blah blah. Like that's what really enthralled me. But I'm like you in a sense at the same time, because once you learn about everything, you kind of lose interest. So
okay.
I'm on the fence about it.
So you guys,
whatever.
You guys are kind of ready to read him for bullshit, basically. Like read his tea, right?
Yep. We're spilling it. Yep. HH, we're coming for you.
He's bullshitting everyone, basically. So
yeah.
Yeah. So what's really crazy is the insurance fraud seems to be, the most bang for the buck, right? Paying out sums of roughly $10,000 in the late 1800s. Hell yeah.
That's insane.
Of course, this isn't without high risk, right? So a man Holmes employed by the name of Benjamin Pititzel heard about the insurance scheme and he wanted in. So another one of his swindles was to have his friend fake his death. And, he kind of shoves him off at first. He's like, nah, it's too risky. Trust me. I fucking know. But then his friend ends up persuading him to do so. But of course, we'll probably talk about the insurance scam of his friend later on in the episode. But his murder castle is probably the best scam that he's ever done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the only reason I say that is because he doesn't pay anyone to build it.
Yeah.
He tells people, this is unacceptable work. These are in unacceptable conditions. I will not pay you a single dime because this is not what I asked for. And he would fire people and rehire other businesses and do the same shit over and over again until basically it was almost complete.
Yeah.
He just
kept scamming people. And that was his biggest thing. And like you said, I think that was his biggest scam of all. Like he basically came to Chicago, and what I really find interesting is that one of the stories surrounding him that's so mysterious is that he murdered this couple in Chicago when he first got there to kind of take over the pharmacy, the drugstore, if you will, that the woman owned. And that wasn't even true. He literally bought it from them, and then they sold it because they wanted to start a family, and they lived in the same area their whole life. So he never killed anybody to get it. He bought it legitimately from this couple. And that's kind of how he started getting property and could start building things, is he got this drugstore that was really well run, made good money, and he would eventually decide to go ahead and build a building across the street from that one. And he would tell investors look, I'm going to build this for the World's Fair that's coming up, and we're going to turn it into a hotel and storefronts and all this stuff so that all these people can come in, and we'll use it as a mixed use building. So that's what we're getting into with what you're saying, Lorraine. He built this building, got all these investors involved, and he didn't really pay anybody for this construction that was done. Like you said, he just would go from one construction crew to the next, and then he would just claim shoddy work and all this stuff. I wondered if he used those, there were false stairwells and there were rooms that were kind of mysterious rooms. Like, what were these for? Like, I wonder if he used that as excuses, but he also built it at the same time. But like, oh, you guys put a stairway to nothing. Like, I'm not paying for this.
Exactly.
But if a construction crew, especially at that time and building something so huge, doesn't get paid, they aren't going to do any more work. It's kind of like in the most recent incident, the Pam and Tommy thing. Tommy never paid his construction workers to keep making all these changes onto their mansion, so they quit, and there's unfinished business.
So that's when we would get another person to come in and do it, though.
Right. And also it feels a little flavor of like Ponzi scheme to me, like earliest day Ponzi scheme. Like maybe if they would have said he was like the earliest Madoff, I would believe that. But serial killer, I don't know. I'm not convinced yet.
Nope.
Yeah. Right. And it's like the reason that I feel that he did this versus what other people think, I feel like he purposely made the building like that so he could hide his goods. Yes. I don't think that he built chutes to the basement that led to a vat of this and that and a brick oven so you can cook mom into a brick oven pizza. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm saying the way that the construction workers quit, they quit where it's half done or it's half finished or the room is not finished because he didn't want them to know how it was being built. And I feel as though people took that and ran with it and said, oh, he's building all of these secret chambers and torture chambers and blah, blah, blah. When actuality, he's purposely making these people build this ridiculous staircase to a wall and saying, whoa, what the fuck did you do that for? I'm not paying for that. And then continue to have builders build upon that.
Well, and that's the thing too, is he had these secret rooms and these stairwells, and he was hiding furniture that he had stolen in this.
Yes. Right.
So, he would get this furniture on credit, and he had absolutely zero intentions of paying it off, just like other things in his life. So what are you going to do with all that shit? You're going to hide it, and you don't want to get caught for it. So
what a scumbag.
Yeah, he's
you're right.
Best.
Yes.
Can we just to throw it out there for all the listeners, because I'm just going to assume that there might be some people that are, completely blank on this case, even though I've heard it a million times. I'm a little blank. Can you explain like demographic of like his murder mansion versus like, how it's across the street from like the business he acquired with the pharmacy, that type of stuff, just in case people can't see the picture in their head at this point?
Yeah, it was literally right across the street, and it was a 2-story building at first, but then they added a 3rd floor to it. And part of it, the upper floor was used as apartments and the lower floor was used as storefronts. So I think he opened up another drugstore in there as well. So he was just getting these, I want to say like retail rental spots, and selling those. So
he had a lot of things in the same pot. He had a lot of businesses going, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at him, he's a scam artist, and he's not going to have legitimate businesses. He does all these crazy things. Like a lot of the times these reports would say that he would, use the building as a hotel for the World's Fair. And it's funny because they also say that that's where he lured his victims to kill them, and then he'd cut up their bodies and use their skeletons to sell them to local medical schools and stuff like that. But honestly, like that was really never proven. There had never even been like complaints about visitors going missing in his hotel, and a lot of the people who stayed there weren't even strangers. It was people from the area that he had known. And yeah, it was just kind of a silly situation.
So, okay. So let's paint the picture here. World's Fair, whatever. Yeah. He moved there. So his like quote unquote intention was to build this spot that could be a great asset to the World's Fair, because so many people were going to travel to that time at this yes. time. Right. And there wasn't capacity as for like sleeping space.
Exactly. Right. Like Chicago wasn't as big as it is now. There's definitely, space for a lot of people now, but there wasn't back then. So he saw that as an opportunity, to build this building and use that excuse to investors to make this happen, but it was a different time back then. There were tons of people coming from all over the world to come to the World's Fair. It was one of the biggest events of that day, like it was just
right. Yeah.
it was an incredible thing for that time. So yeah, it was kind of like the perfect storm for him, because he knew this event was coming, and being the swindler that he is, I hate to say it, but he's kind of smart, he was a smart guy to think like, oh, I can do this and people will invest money in that. But ultimately that's kind of what would get him caught up.
I mean, he's in a
So,
very
Right.
big hole, though. I mean, he has a lot of debt, and
yeah,
he owes a lot of people money, different creditors. So it's not like he's making money off of this hotel,
it's just keeping his like notoriety up, I feel like, and it's just keeping this like facade and these swindles alive, like of course he's probably making a little bit of money here and there off things, but he wasn't selling the furniture he was stealing, he was hoarding it. This sounds so familiar to the lipstick killer that we did together, like they're just
Right.
stealing and hoarding this stuff, but
Yeah.
it's said that the secret rooms and passageways were used to kill and torture his victims, but literally none of those claims were ever substantiated. There was in fact a couple hidden rooms, but they, like we said, were used to hide the furniture that he had stolen and would never pay back. So that building that he built actually burnt down, and it was completely gutted because of it. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a fail anyways.
Was it insurance fraud or?
Yes.
That's what they believe. So there was actually it was burnt down partially, and then he filed a claim with the insurance company under an alias. Like I forgot what the name was that he used. And the insurance company was actually willing to pay him $6,000 if the person who he used as an alias would come pick up the money in person. But he didn't. He never showed up, so he never
Oh.
got the insurance money.
He got
He got his hand caught in the cookie jar, didn't he?
Yep.
That
Yeah. The only reason he didn't have anybody to go and get the insurance money is because the person that was supposed to go get the insurance money died.
Died.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Well, sounds like he wasn't
the-
very well rounded in the Chicago area, because there's plenty of people there that will take a dime and nickel here, a free stay tonight, a hotel to
Mhm.
Absolutely.
go and
yeah.
tell law
Exactly.
enforcement whatever the hell they need to hear.
And his original intention for the building, although, we know now as the World's Fair Hotel and all that stuff, is he actually started building a 4th floor, and those were supposed to be the hotel rooms, but it ended up not being able to get done because, money and all. But he the 3rd floor was supposed to only be apartments. And then he ended up renting them out to other people. So it was interesting. He was just running out of cash and scrambling to find something to do.
What's that hotel? What's that hotel that had the girl disappearing? This sounds a lot like that.
Hotel Cecil?
Cecil.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, where they have the different floors and things like that. It's interesting.
What I think he was doing, if he was killing people, he was basically taking over their identity and collecting checks under their name. That's the only
That makes so much
reason
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
that I think he'd be killing them, because he's a scam artist. He would kill them and just scam them
Yeah.
until they figured out, the government figures out, they're actually dead. Who's getting their money? And by that time, he's doing something else.
Yeah.
He's also a triple Earth sign, which is completely monetary focused. That's all they care about is money, possessions, things like that. There's a lot of Gemini in his chart. I'm about to rip him for shreds.
Let's go.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
That's your turn. Go ahead. Let's see it.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Uh-oh.
so he was actually found in 1894 in Boston by a national detective agency that was hot on his case for a long time, I guess. They had been trailing him since he spent some time in Philly. Luckily for these people, the sleuths on this, they still had a warrant out for his arrest for what he was doing in Fort Worth when he got some sticky fingers and decided to take a pony or a horse or whatever he decided to take there, So they finally got him on trial. He went to trial in Philly where the Benjamin, please fix his name for me because I'm going to mess it up. What's his last name?
Paditzel.
Paditzel. Okay. Yeah, I was ugh, so many question marks beside that. Okay. That's where he was found deceased. And you had said earlier that was his business partner, really, right? Like,
Yeah.
essentially, kind of. Okay. But no evidence actually like links him to anything that went on in Chicago. Nothing. They can't find solid evidence on that. So he only actually went to trial in Philly. On May 7th in 1896, Philly ultimately found him completely guilty, and they decided to string him up from a tree. Not really, but he did get hanged for his death.
Wow.
Yeah,
That was
that happens.
Really close
The
to
gallows.
his birthday.
The gallows,
Yes.
yes.
6 days before his birthday, I believe.
Yeah. What a birthday
Wow.
present. Like,
That's what they say though. Your death happens like
close to your
close
birthday.
to your birthday.
You're more likely to die on your birthday than any other day.
I've never heard that. Really?
Really? That's what what I've heard, that you're more likely to die on your birthday than any other day.
I would love that. I hope I die on Halloween. It's so close.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
We do have the same birthday.
We're both born
You-
October 24th, so we're like
Wow.
exactly a week before Halloween. So I mean, that would be
Yay.
like
Damn.
I love that, and I'm
Yeah.
so jealous. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're best friends.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my god. Oh.
So post trial, he spends the remainder of his time or his days behind bars in what's that prison name, guys? I was gonna butcher that one too.
Myomasing.
Yeah,
There you
Mason.
go.
Yeah.
Myomasing. Interesting. Okay. So as he was in, behind bars, just chilling there, he just wants a pencil and a paper because he's been a doctor, he's been a teacher, and now he's going to be a journalist. So let's write my manifesto.
That makes me think of the Weeds theme song. Did you guys ever watch that show?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that
Doctors
show.
and
Yes.
lawyers and business executives.
Right.
Oh my god, that's great. So he is going to pencil out everything that happened, and it's going to be beautiful, I'm sure. Lorraine, I know that you've listened to it, so I'm excited to hear about that.
I am reading his memoir. Yes, I am.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See, she this is a case that's hers. Like, she likes this case. I don't know.
Right up my alley.
It was like literally one of the very first cases we did on our old podcast. So
Yes.
this is, she wouldn't touch Manson because he's mine, and she's got H.H. Holmes, that's just how that is. And we have
Love
our own flavor. So let's talk about the victims. There's 9 in total. So there's Benjamin Peditzel, right?
Yes.
Yay. Oh, good. Okay. But he was the only murder he was convicted of. Then of course 3 of Peditzel's kids. There was Alice, Nellie, and Howard. And then there was Manny and Nanny Williams, the Williams sisters, and they apparently came in contact him while they were in Chicago. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then there was Julia Smythe. Is it Smythe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm doing so good. I'm so
Killing it.
proud of myself.
Yes.
Wow. She actually worked at the jewelry counter of the first floor of the castle, right? It wasn't the place across the street.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Okay. I love that I'm fact checking with you guys, and you guys are helping me out and not laughing at me. That's perfect.
No, you're killing it like Holmes. You're
So
good.
also, I don't, well, that's kind of, that's a backsided compliment there. But so I don't know if you guys heard, but Julia, she may or may have not been like his little lady behind the sheets, like that was his little love connection, or not love and just sheets connection. We don't know. But that was a big rumor then.
Mhm.
But then she also had a daughter named Pearl, which is gorgeous. I mean, let's just breathes money there. Unfortunately, that was a confirmed victim of his as well. And then there was Emmeline, which he was the stenographer, I believe, of him.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I did really good with those names. I give myself at least a C+ solid. So I found a bunch of different articles. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie, they were Lorraine's workings on this. She found a bunch of different articles that went from there was contradicting cases where it went from 20 victims to 200 victims, but nothing was
Wow.
really solid. It was just a bunch of hearsay, basically. But there is one little piece of research that I did do on my own and didn't take the information from Lorraine and twist it. I would, with your guys' permission, I would like to rip him apart in astrology aspect, because
Yeah.
I also looked at this today because I really didn't give a shit about him until today. We're going to do this. So he is a triple earth sign, which means like, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. Those are the earth signs. They are very sturdy, straight. They are very rule followers. They like things to be a certain way at different levels. I'm just going to give you guys like the kindergarten version of this here. But Good. Astrology wise, yeah, I know. Astrology wise, you have your planetary spot, and then you also have a house that it lies in, which is like this part of your life that it is shedding focus on. Okay. So I was looking at his chart and I was like, oh, okay, well, triple earth sign, that just means like he really cares about like financial stability. He wants stability in his home. He may or may have not had that in his upbringing. So like it's super focused, hyper focused as he's an adult, right? Because that's when you flourish into your own person. Also like Tauruses, they're led by Venus. So there's a lot of that, those aspects come into a personal quote unquote pleasure for him. So like, or anybody that's a Taurus, I mean, I'm a Taurus rising, so I understand that. And I have a lot of earth in my chart. So we're those people that we're going to Netflix and chill and lay our fat asses on the couch and eat all the foods that make us feel comfortable and excited. And that is our happy time. That is what we like to do. That is our comfort zone. Like we spend the extra money on the great sheets. We get that higher thread count. We get those comfy blankets. We buy those expensive ass things to make us feel more comfortable and just very self-fulfilled. That is our self-care.
I feel attacked again.
Oh, no, I'm not attacking. That's how I am. That is how I am. Right. I mean, there's those people that are like, I would never let somebody have crumbs in bed. I'm like, bitch, I'm eating a cheesecake and a whole ass pizza, and this is my bed. And who invited you anyways? Because I'm here by myself.
She loves Gushers. Ask her about her Gushers. Yes,
Gushers. Yeah. But it's like, that is my, like, everything in Scorpio is a big thing about like, well, Scorpio Taurus is an axis. So they have the same thing. But anyways, self-indulgement, right? Okay. So, but their panic zone for an earth sign, because they like everything to be by the book and perfect, their panic zone is when they don't have that, or they don't have means. So they act out randomly, quickly. They don't care about the outcome. It needs to be fixed right now, because their level of anxiety is different from all the other signs. Like they have no go with the flow. There's nothing. If you said you're going to be here at 4:06, you better be here at 4:50 or like 4:05. At like if you're 4:06 point breath of a second, you're late, and they panic. Like it's so anal retentive. It's crazy. Virgos are really terrible, but I mean, that's an earth sign thing because it's stability. It has to be, it's set in stone. We chose this. This is what we're doing. Right.
Right.
If not, they're out of their comfort zone. And that's not a bad thing, because you have to have that with like the emotionally erratic people to create a balance, and none of them are bad. It's just where they're placed that might affect that. Where they're placed in his chart is not so helpful to Mr. Holmes. So he has all those traits, and then also a lot of his stuff and his moon, which is his emotions, which are in Leo. So Leos, they like everything to be pretty. They're beautiful. Like everything is about me. I am the best here. If you don't think I'm the best, then you need to walk away, because come back when you figure out the truth here, because you were lied to, okay? So he thinks in his mind that he is the absolute most perfect person alive.
Yes. Wow. He thought he was a ladies' man to a T.
Yeah, but his moon sign, which is his moon, like your moon sign is your like emotions that you keep on the inside that you only let the closest people to you ever see. You can easily hide them by other things. That falls in his 12th house. With the 12th house is ruled by, Scorpio. It's the Pluto house. It is the self-undoing house. It is like you let all your dirty laundry, all your bullshit just sit on the table, and everybody gets to look at it, and you have no control over it. So when your moon lives in your self-undoing house, that's bad. That's a lot of, it's really, really bad. Like all your, everything negative you can possibly think or are having panic go through your head right now, all that shit's on the table and everybody can see it. And there is no rhyme or reason to it. You can't control it. And the fact that you cannot control that drives a earth person up the wall, because they're all about control. Okay. So that's the mental gymnastics he's going through. Also, his love sign, his Venus sign, is in Taurus, that's the house ruler, the planetary ruler. So that means that just pretty much makes everything that's in his big three a law. Like it just there's literally no changing anything in his chart. Everything it is exactly how it is. And basically he was born a mess, he's going to stay a mess, and the planets have chosen this is the life for you, so you're going to have to figure it out. So there's also the planet of Mars, which that rules sex, and it rules aggression. Okay, it rules active, quick moving things, which explains a lot with his we need to do this right now, this is going to initially fix the thing, act right now, do it right now, or it's going to go away. So his whole life is mental gymnastics of I have no stability, I need stability right now, what's going to fix it? Okay, you suck, I don't have any money, okay, I'm going to hire you, okay, oh crap, now that's done, the contracts are done, we have to blah, blah, you know what I mean? Just like back and forth,
yes,
all over.
That sounds exactly like him, man. You said you didn't do research. I don't think so.
Well, I didn't do research on him. I know this stuff, so there's that. So I almost feel bad for him because I can't imagine what kind of battle that would be, to live through that and have to like try and make ends meet. I don't know. I just, I feel really bad, but I don't think he should have been given the credit of being the first serial killer because I don't think that's what he was. I think if they would have followed the planets at this time, they might have known a lot more about themselves and mental health. But
right.
Another thing that I found interesting with somebody that's a triple earth sign, that's their big three, they can sit there and endure a lot, and they will take it, and they will take it, and they will conduct themselves professionally. They will be quiet, they will be sturdy, they will prove to everyone around them that they are stable and they are fine. Everything is great. And in their own house, they will sit there and they will suffer in their head. Not they will never be like outwardly that way, and they will sit there and beat themselves up mentally so much to when they snap, there's literally no stopping. It is erratic, it's fast moving. And then that added in with like his Mars Gemini, which is like flighty as hell, in his 10th house, which is career house. Like this all just makes so much sense.
He was eternally struggling with how he should feel, what he should do, what's right for him. Like what a mess for him.
Yeah, for sure. But on a positive side, I mean, people that are in that same placement, if he would have been able to find his own self-control with it, they're very smart, they're very, very loyal, and they're very proud of their work. So I feel like when stuff started like fall apart for him, because people started to like rip his work apart, you know what I mean? Like they used to say this and that. And I kind of feel like maybe that's why he kept changing careers. I mean, you guys can correct me because you guys have done way more research on him, but I'm just like, I'm just going by what I see here. But like, he went into like a teaching aspect, and then he went into the medical career. If he had these doubts in his head being that young, and somebody was saying, he wasn't perfect or up to his own like standard that he created for himself or had in his head, he would run for the hills and go somewhere else because that, it either terrified him or like he wasn't proud of the work he was putting out. There's lots of like mechas to it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you said this, because the memoir, I'm only halfway through it, but it's the way that you explained his chart makes so much sense. And I'm going to do a book report on his memoir. I don't know if Amanda's going to join me in that, but I am going to do it for our podcast because it is very, very interesting.
Wow.
That's a really good idea. You have plenty of information that Amanda's able to provide to help out with that. Like I'm learning so much from this, like just hearing this, like that's not an aspect that I even consider when I do research. Like it's just, again, like I'm very uninformed about all of that. So hearing it from that perspective, it does make a lot of sense that he was the way he was. I mean,
it all lines
mind
up.
blown. Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he was trying to get back on the right track when he bought the pharmacy, and then it just went wrong somewhere along the line when we didn't pay the construction companies back, and then just kept digging himself a deeper hole and just
right,
ran with
like
it.
a constant like influx of like instability that eventually just really he couldn't dig himself out of the hole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
he got
mean-
it in over his head for sure.
I don't think he was the first serial killer. I mean, we'll never know who that was probably. But do I think he might have killed all those people? He could have, to keep his facade going, you know, this life that he was living.
Desperate times.
Desperation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was the word I was going with too. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
I want to leave you guys with this little image in your head and tell me what you think. So he claims that he found Pitezel and that Pitezel committed suicide. And here's how he describes the scene. So he was in an upstairs room, and as Holmes is walking into the room, he sees his friend on the ground. Next to him is a chair that has a bottle of chloroform standing on its side with a block of wood on one side and a hammer on the other to keep it from rolling off the chair. With a needle, almost a little bit bigger than a toothpick, he pokes a hole, Pitezel pokes a hole in the cork of the bottle, and out comes rubber tubing, like from a medical kit. So he ties a small tourniquet as to leave it dripping into his own mouth while he lays on the floor and patiently waits for death.
No way.
Nope.
fuck no, dude.
Lying
no.
ass.
Yeah, and the reason being, why do you say no?
Well, he's got medical training. What the hell? And what is Pitezel like? What is he, a con man?
How would he know all that?
Yeah.
And why would he go through all of that?
And that's
just
a
to kill
really
himself?
elaborate. Yeah, that's such an elaborate way to
That's-
do it.
That's doing too much. And actually,
Yeah.
coming from like the research that I was talking about, chloroform is actually a women's thing. Like, you know, drugs, chloroform, things like that. That is not it. It literally has a 99.6% rate that men don't do that shit. They don't do that.
Yeah.
That was like so much for like the description of
extra.
level 10,000. Like that's too much. I don't know.
Right.
That's a very
So-
elaborate suicide. Like that's
to let yourself go slowly by dripping this slowly into your mouth and waiting for death. It just seems to me like the research that was done and some of the reports say that the chloroform was actually administered after death. So what does that do? Right. So I'm so excited to finish the memoir and get this book report out because man, it is an interesting read.
I would need to
Pitezel
look
is
that
actually a
up.
double Taurus also, by the way. I just found that.
What does
Oh,
that
snap.
mean exactly?
They're almost two sides of the same coin. They're
Okay.
Hmm.
so I feel like if that was the let's just say that, you know, he wrote that down, that was what happened, how he quote unquote found his friend. I feel like maybe they were in such a mess that they decided that elaborate thing together out of, you know, like freaking out and like being erratic about their decisions, and they did it together. But that was like, I don't think that he did it on his own, because Tauruses, they are so stubborn that they will literally bleed to death in front of you before they will take their own life, because they're choosing to have that control and they don't want anybody else to take control. It don't fit to me. Don't fit.
No, not at all.
No.
Hmm.
Because that would also ruin their name. So then their pride would die like after they died. You know what I mean? And they want to
Yeah.
be lifelong
Yeah.
proud of whatever their achievements are. They want to show people like moving forward their stability and how they did things the correct way, and how, you know, they're proud of that. I mean, even beyond the grave, like that is their thing. That's their legacy.
Yep.
Is to show stability. There's no fucking way that guy took his own life. There's no way.
Yeah,
One
he was
thing- Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll ask
he was
in a minute.
he was a failed carpenter, but he was also an inventor, and his inventions didn't get a whole lot, so he couldn't support his wife and children. So they were trying to scheme, and from Holmes's account, he wrote a note and said that he felt like he was better off dead than alive. At least his family would be supported. And it was just really, really just, I don't know, kind of far-fetched though.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect setup for H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
I mean, H.H. Holmes. Yeah.
But also he could have told H.H. Holmes like, hey, like, because I feel like that was an erratic decision, and they were two of the same people. So maybe he even like got with him and was like, well, maybe they'll see how intelligent I am or see how great I am by this choice that I made. Like, let's make this our story. Like, let's make this the tale that happened, that, you know, precedes me after my death. You know, so they won't think I'm just a weak ass bitch that took my own life, or I wasn't weak enough to get killed by somebody else. You know what I mean? Though,
yeah.
It was so elaborate that it was like it had a tinge of like intelligence in there, but it just was done really wrong. If that makes sense. You know,
right.
He was a twisted fellow, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, you guys are going to be doing another episode on him, you said?
They already did it.
I will for sure. And we already have done it. It's actually episode 3 on our podcast. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. So we're gonna come to an end with this episode number 11. And what I'm gonna let you guys do another plug for your show here, and just let us know where we can find you. And I'll share some of the links in the description as well. So go ahead.
Okay, so we're Monsters of the Midwest. We are found wherever you get your podcast, except for YouTube, because we're not on the YouTube train yet. And we have a Facebook and Instagram, both Monsters of the Midwest. And
Yeah, and we have a group also, if you guys want to join in that. We are called Tuesday Speakeasy. You can follow our page and then we can invite you. We also really love anything on Apple Podcasts. Even if you're not an Apple person, we do love Apple Podcasts because they shove us up the algorithm level no matter what you write on our comments. So we love that. But we apologize ahead of time. We are the shittiest of millennials, and we don't have a Twitter, and our Instagram kind of sucks. But we're learning. We're figuring it out. But we are elder millennials that love a Facebook. So if you want to hit us up on Facebook, that would be ideal, I guess.
You guys, thank you so much for coming on our show today. Like, we've had such a blast with you. And if the listeners, you know, they don't know this, but we've recorded this episode and another one for their show back to back tonight. So we've had a lot of time and a lot of fun together. So thanks for doing this with us, guys. We really appreciated having you on.
Thank you for having us. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
The more you know,
the less you fear. So tune in next week, right back here.